Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
Every Friday at 3 p.m., I step behind the mic with one mission: to cut through the noise. I'm David Seaton, WVON's only conservative voice, and trust me, I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you what you need to hear. I'm unapologetically conservative, proudly anti-progressive, and I don't deal in feelings, I deal in facts. If you're looking for sugar-coated opinions, this isn't your stop. But if you want the truth, straight, no chaser, pull up a chair. The David Seaton Show, Fridays at 3 p.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
This report is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Don't let data limits hold you back from being the GIF master in the family group chat. Switch to Straight Talk Wireless and get Unreal Unlimited data on a reliable 5G network. Straight Talk, available at Walmart or straighttalk.com.
1690 WVON remembers the Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson Sr.
I am black, beautiful, proud. I must be respected. I must be protected.
You were a beacon of light, not only for Chicago, but for the nation. From our family to yours. Rest in peace, Reverend Jackson. Job well done.
Live from the Xfinity Studios, it's the station that America listens to. WVON, Berwyn, Chicago. It's Rufus Williams on Chicago's essential storyteller, WVON.
The views expressed on our programs are not necessarily those of WVON, Midway Broadcasting Corporation, or our participating sponsors.
If you're not out of the bed yet, then what are you waiting for? It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on 1690 WVON.
Every day you're walking by and I can see how you shine. Here I am alone with nothing but a dream that you are mine. Just exactly what I'll do, I don't know, baby, but I gotta find a way to reach you. Tell me what I gotta do to get to your house. Tell me where I gotta go and make to be with you. Tell me what I gotta say and make to speak to your heart. Tell me what I need to know tonight.
Keep your eyes on the road and both hands on the steering wheel. We will not be held responsible for any accidents. It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
The Audio Genius.
Get in on the conversation with Rufus Williams and the Morning Show at 591-1690. We are the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Good morning, and welcome to Thursday. It is the 19th of February, the year 2026. It's the Rufus Williams Show. As always, thrilled, excited, and just delighted to be here with you this morning. And thank you so much for waking up with Rufus. This has been quite a week as we have worked through the loss of Reverend Jackson. I think it's starting now. First it was shock. We'll go through the stages of grief. And I believe it's settling in that he is really, really no longer with us. And we'll continue in his honor. You heard in the news report this morning that the family has shared the details of his services, which are towards the end of next week. And the family did have their own statements that they made yesterday and shared their thoughts around the Reverend. I have joining me this morning just to talk about his memory and his impact, a dear friend of mine who has the largest Black-owned investment banking firm in the country, which he started simply because he didn't know. He went to college simply because he didn't know how to fix a television. But every now and then, something that you can't do opens up a whole lot else. It's none other than Jim Reynolds. Jim, good morning, man. And finally, welcome to the Rufus Williams Show.
Rufus, thank you. And now I see why I haven't been on in a while, because you told that story, that I was a failed TV repairman. So I had to go with my backup plan. So thank you, Rufus. Good to be here.
Had to go to college. You made something out of nothing. And,
out of nothing.
And this is good. Jim, you and the Reverend had a very, very intense relationship. I know that it was one of friendship and one that really covered so many other things, including the fact, as many tend to call on you and John when help is needed. And I know you all stood in the gap at many times, but now that we've had a chance to really absorb the fact that the Reverend is no longer with us, I really wanted to hear your thoughts from a friend, from a business perspective of the Reverend's impact.
Well, Rufus, first of all, thanks for having me on, and thank you for addressing this subject and giving it the time and positioning and characterization that it is due. I don't know that I've ever used the term one of a kind as it referred to any individual, but the more I think about Reverend Jackson, and you're right, the relationship that we had, rather serendipitously starting, was a very, 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 very close one all the way through. But he really was one of a kind. I've been talking to friends for the last couple of days about his impact and the position we're in right now. And we started talking about this before he passed, but when he got ill and just had to curtail his outward activities, which pained him greatly, because if there was any injustice anywhere, he was out. He was in the middle of it all the time. But as we think about him and his impact, I don't think there's anybody that's close to it right now. I think, and as I've been chatting to friends, the only person that I would say that really would be in that same class as Reverend Jackson, these two great men, would be Dr. King and Reverend Jackson, in terms of the impact that they had on society, both in the U.S. and globally. I traveled around the world with them, so I had a chance to see them received by nations and how he was. And I had a chance to see him like no other person help so many people with nothing at all in it for himself. Like nothing. He would help you and not expect anything in return. It was just his nature to help and be involved. And, I think about the times today, if you could imagine, and I actually imagined this before he passed, when ICE besieged our city, and just came in, grabbing people, throwing them in cars and in their homes, at their jobs. What Reverend Jackson would be doing if ICE was in Chicago. But he would have been to LA. If it was in LA, he would have been in New York. He would have been front and center in Minneapolis. I think we all believe and know that.
Absolutely.
There's just nobody that can take and grasp the situation and deal with it in the manner that he can. So yeah, he's he's going to be missed. And we talk about Rufus, you know, the next one in line, the next person that could come close to doing the things that he did and have the impact that he had, and have such a passion for just helping people for nothing. You know, he didn't die with money. He did not pass with money. He never had money. And even the time that I've spent with him, you know, I don't know if he went in his pockets and he could pull out $100, no matter where. He didn't care.
Yeah.
So it was just a selfless individual in his entire makeup, that if he saw an injustice, he just wanted to go after that. I'll tell you just an interesting story I was thinking about, and I'll be quick, Rufus, but there was a few years ago, there was a situation in a college with a black basketball player in one of the colleges. I forget what state it was in, Iowa, Montana, Nebraska, one of those type of states. And he got accused of rape of a student. I was struck when I saw it that the team and the school stood by him when this occurred, because you've been around a while, so have I. Usually when something like this happens, the school throws you off the team right away.
Right.
And because we've seen that. But one of the things that she said that she identified the individual by was a certain sweatshirt that he had on. Well, it turns out everybody on the team had on that sweatshirt. That's the sweatshirt they all wore. And then other folks that were at the school on different teams had the same sweatshirt. So I was reading about it, and I picked up the phone and I called Reverend Jackson. I said, Rev, there's something going on down here in this school with this young man. I think you need to go down there because it looks like this guy. And I said, I'll help you get down there. And I started talking. He said, Jim, I'm already here. Wow. I'm here. Yeah, I'm here already. He said, I'm not letting anything happen to this young man. I mean, that was his nature, you know?
That was the Rev. He did so much for so many. And Jim, you were able, as you mentioned, you were able to travel around the world in other countries with the Reverend. And we get accustomed to folks who are close proximity to us. But just take a moment and share what the reception of him was like when you were in other countries.
That was probably the most shocking part to me. Every country that we went into, particularly African countries, but even non-African countries, but I remember we went to Ghana. On our plane, a man came up on our plane when we landed, grabbed his luggage, walked off the plane with me and Reverend and a few of us in tow, carried it to his car, and then, you know, we were driven to our place. That man was President Jerry Rawlings, the president of Ghana.
Wow.
When we got to Nigeria, we went to Abuja. Reverend Jackson, and the president then was Obasanjo. Reverend Jackson addressed the entire parliament and the president, and they sat there like students listening to him. And he just spoke about the world and justice and injustice. And then we flew to South Africa, to Pretoria, to see Mandela. And he went. I wasn't able to go. Mandela could only see a few people, and I wasn't able to go in the room. But he went, and then we addressed the government in Pretoria, the new government. And he presided over the entire government, including the president. It was the most amazing thing. Every country that he went to, he was treated as a head of state, even though he didn't have a political office. And what it struck me as we went to these places and I saw the treatment, he was exalted much more outside of the U.S. than he was inside of the U.S. Much, much, much more. I mean, he was treated like a president, like a leader. Yeah, and so it was amazing to watch him and watch him move through, all of these rooms with all of these people with an air of confidence and exuding his authority, such that whether it was a president or a CEO, you've seen him in boardrooms, Rufus, whether it's a CEO, a president, a chairman, a billionaire, a trillionaire, it really didn't matter to him. And whoever he was talking to became an audience member, a student to him. It was just astounding to watch him. And I wondered how he could know so much about so many topics. So one day we were flying, and I was sitting behind him, and I noticed that when he got on the plane, this was before a lot of the Kindles and iPads and stuff like that, he had an armful of papers, newspapers.
Wow.
And he just read newspaper after newspaper after newspaper after newspaper, like really quickly. And then I began to see how it was that you actually couldn't bring up a topic that had to do with social issues and catch him off balance. He always had a thought. He always had his view of it, not necessarily the popular view, but his view of current events and world events. And, I think about what his view of things would be now, of immigration, of tariffs. He would speak to tariffs, of working and what's happening with our students. I mean, Rufus, not even to mention what he would have to say about the rollback of DEI programs.
Absolutely.
And total elimination of them.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Jim, thank you so much. You've given a perspective that others would not ever have seen or known, and it really brings a lot home as we recognize, what we've lost over the last couple of years is he was silenced by this dreadful disease, but certainly what we've lost now. But may he rest in peace, because he certainly earned it. And I certainly appreciate you coming on and sharing your thoughts with us this morning. We needed to hear that.
Well, I appreciate it, Rufus. I'll be around. As you know, the services are going to be in Chicago.
Right.
There was a thought that he might land state one day in D.C., but the family really wanted him to be in Chicago. So it'll be 4 days of celebration. So I know I'm going to see you around there.
Absolutely.
So I'll be there.
Absolutely. All right. Okay. Be well, my friend.
All right. Thank you. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
All right. Wow, that's a lot. Let's do this. I've got another guest on, and let's talk to her before we take our break, Titus. Patricia Andrews Keenan has been doing a number of things around art with Pigment International, and has a big event coming up later this week, but also a tribute as it happens. Patricia, welcome back to WVON. How are you today?
Oh, I'm very good. Thank you, Rufus, for having me. I loved hearing Jim talk about Reverend. So
yeah, that was really something, and it's good to have you. I know you're still trying to get over the Bayou Classic, but
get out of here. Get out.
I know that was tough on Grambling nights, but it's still good to have you come on.
It was a tough game. It was a tough one.
Depending on which side you're sitting on. Patricia, you've got an event coming up this week. Tell us about that, and tell us about what you're doing there in recognition of the Reverend.
Absolutely. So we'll be at the Joby Art Center in the Bridgeport neighborhood on 35th Street in Chicago. And we're opening a show called Glory, Glory. And what this show is about how Black artists interpret the U.S. flag. We hung this show yesterday, and my heart was so full looking at it. We have flags from artist Paul Branton, from artist Nate Austin, from Reggie McFly, from Robert Louis Clark. His work, which is 11 feet wide and 8 feet tall, was an homage to President Obama's election, and the piece is called 44. But as we sat there and we put that show together, I come across a picture of Reverend Jackson with the flag draped around him. So we have decided to dedicate this show to him. It just makes me so full. Reverend Jackson spoke at my commencement address at Grambling. I moved to Chicago, and he came to our corporation when I worked at Comcast. He spoke at our naming convention. You know, he has so much been a part of all of our lives, and I am blessed to have known him personally. So it seemed fitting that we would dedicate this show to him.
Absolutely. Now the show Glory, Glory. Why is it called Glory, Glory? And it begins, let me just remind folks, it begins on tomorrow, the 20th, and runs for a month until March the 20th. But why Glory, Glory?
Yes. You know, the first thing that popped in my head was the movie with Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman. And I could feel, you know, you could feel that drummers, you could see that emotion. And that's why we chose that name. But when I see how the artists have stepped up to interpret the flag, it is just amazing. You know, Robert Louis Clark did his work during Obama's election, but then Candace Hunter came along and created two pieces specifically for this show. And then Reggie created a piece that honored Whip Peter. Whip Peter was one of the portraits that was taken down from the Park District in Washington because it so exemplified the horrors of slavery. All these artists have this work in them, and we really wanted to show the city what they've done and how they've honored our flag and what it means to them to celebrate the 250th anniversary of this country.
So you're kicking it off with what you're doing down at the Zobie Arts Center, which is at 1029 West 35th Street. Wonderful, wonderful rendition that I'm looking at the piece that you put together. Talk about opening night. And you mentioned, you know, what you'd be doing there, but talk to us about what you're doing tomorrow night.
Certainly. So tomorrow night is opening night. It's third Friday in that Bridgeport Arts Corridor. We have our show opening on the first floor. There's a continuation of a show on the third floor that Candace Hunter curated that talks about Black art and its relation to the literary arts. And there's a third show there's another show in the building as well. Dee Alexander is performing. So I think it's going to be an amazing celebration of Black art and culture and recognizing how we are important to this country and what we've endured and what we continue to achieve. So I'm just very excited for all the artists. We open from 7 to 10. And again, as you said, we'll be at 1029 West 35th Street. We've had some amazing partners. Joe B is a partner of ours. We'll be registering people to vote and collecting their recollections of voting. So yeah, we have Representative Kim Dubuclet, who's a partner with us for this exhibit. So I think it's going to be an amazing evening, and we hope people will come out and join us. They can follow us on Instagram for more details, Instagram, Facebook, and at our website, pigmentintl.com.
Now, as it runs for this month, is it every day that people can come and visit it, or are there certain days and certain times in which it's happening?
There will be. I would love it if people could send us a note. We have 2 events planned during the course of the month. On the 13th of March from 6 to 8 p.m., we will be hosting a talk to talk about civic engagement in the arts. And then we'll close out on the 20th of March with a discussion about the WPA, the Works Progress Administration, where Roosevelt actually helped to fund the arts. And many Black artists in this city were beneficiaries of the WPA. The WPA actually created the Southside Community Arts Center, the funding that came from there, which is the longest running art center in the country. So yes, we'll have appointments and we'll also have events scheduled, but we'll keep that information up on all our social sites as well.
Fantastic. And the site again that people should go to register to find out what's going on is?
So you can go to our website, pigmentintl.com. Registration for the event is on Eventbrite. You can just put Chicago Glory Glory and it will come up. And then you can always email us at pigmentintl@gmail.com.
Patricia, this is so wonderful and so exciting. Thank you so much for doing it. Thanks so much for coming on with us this morning. And certainly
Thank you for giving us this time.
Indeed. And thanks for recognizing the Reverend, because I don't know that we're going to be able to do enough for what he's been doing.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Patricia.
Thank you, Rufus.
Be well.
Bye-bye.
All right. Let's find out what's going on in the news from Candace. We'll be back with more after this.
More of the morning show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
I'm Candace McCollum, and here's what's happening in your local and national news. As the world prepares for the homegoing of civil rights icon Reverend Jesse Jackson, his children are speaking out about their father's legacy. Perry Williams has more.
Jackson's son, Yusef, who will take over the operations of Rainbow Push, gave his personal feelings.
God gave my father some extra innings. His death did not come without warning to us, yet we're still painfully unprepared emotionally.
5 of the 6 Jackson siblings also spoke on their father's impact on the lives of so many people. Reverend Jackson suffered from a rare form of Parkinson's disease, and his services will be held next week in Chicago. I'm Perry Williams.
In other news, Governor Pritzker is proposing what he calls his 8th balanced budget proposal. Pritzker says the $56 billion fiscal year 2027 spending plan aims to prioritize affordability without raising taxes on working people. As part of the budget, the governor will launch an initiative to lower housing costs. The budget proposes a 2-year pause on the authorization of new data center tax credits. It also includes investments in early childhood education and childcare, K through 12 education, higher education, and public safety and violence prevention. And the FDA has reversed its decision and is now agreeing to review Moderna's flu vaccine. Sarah Lee Kessler has more.
Last week, the FDA notified Moderna it was refusing to review its new influenza shot. Moderna now seeking accelerated approval for people ages 65 and up and full approval for those 50 to 64. The vaccine uses mRNA technology, the same method used in COVID shots, an approach that's been criticized by Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. The FDA expected to decide on the new Moderna vax by August 5th. I'm Sarah Lee Kessler.
I'm Candace McCollum, and that's what's happening in your news now on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Black Creativity 2026 is now open at the Griffin Museum of Science and Industry. The exhibit features the nation's longest-running exhibition of Black art, plus interactive family experiences, STEAM career showcases, youth flight school camps, and signature events throughout the season. From art and innovation to education and community celebration, Black Creativity uplifts the voices, stories, and contributions of Black artists across generations. Buy tickets today at griffinmsi.org.
I'm Rufus Williams. Watch the new episode of Bound and Woven, where I sit down with a woman whose story shook this city and moved the nation. Anjanette Young, author of Past the Pain, joins me for a raw and honest conversation about trauma, accountability, and what it really takes to rebuild your life when the system fails you. This is an easy conversation, but it's necessary. Join me for Bound and Woven, streaming now on Vine TV, which you can catch on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV Plus, the WVON app, or simply go to VON.TV.
Hey everybody, this is Kendall Moore, the Kendall Moore Show, getting you from your work week to your weekend each and every Friday night from 6 until 9 p.m. I get you from your work week to your weekend. Church, tabernacle.
Kendall Moore, radio for the next generation on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 AM, WVON.
This report is brought to you by Staples. Staples has hot deals and super low prices on everything you need for your business. And right now at Staples, save up to $125 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Shop Staples in store, online, or in the app. Ends April 18th. Visit staples.com/print for details.
I'm Sally, a volunteer at United Way. I'm asking people around the neighborhood what they think this place needs. Excuse me. Hi. What do you think this place needs?
I'd like to see more parking.
More playgrounds.
Free movies. That's easy. Better restaurants.
And you, what do you think this place needs?
This place? More ice cream trucks.
Okay. How about you?
Wi-Fi everywhere?
I was thinking more money in the pockets of local families come tax time.
Can I change my answer?
I was just kidding about the ice cream.
Oh, that's way better. Now that you mention it.
When it comes to getting better tax refunds into the hands of local families, what this place needs is you. To donate or volunteer, go to unitedway.org. Because great things happen when we live united. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
I may ask this family about what they eat.
Dr. M?
If he's turning playtime into screen time, that might be something I'd like to know. Has he tried smoking? Does he vape? I might even ask about changes to her body. Is she feeling overwhelmed? Any signs of anxiety? If we feel comfortable asking these questions, shouldn't we also be asking, how do you store firearms in your home?
Firearm injuries are the leading cause of death for children and teens in the U.S. It's our responsibility to have a conversation about firearm injury prevention, because questions about safety are questions about health. Find tools at agreetoagree.org/healthcare.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
Just a little heads up before something bad happens.
Move your coffee cup away from your computer. Oh, no.
So you can have more control.
Stop. You're texting your boss by mistake.
Uh-oh. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Warning, the cap is loose on that ketchup.
Ugh. Don't wait. You have the power to change the outcome. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Keep your eyes on the road and both hands on the steering wheel. We will not be held responsible for any accidents. It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Welcome back. I have a wonderful guest this morning. And Carlos, please stay with me. I'll get to you just momentarily. But my guest here has written a book. It's called An Unusual Path, 3 Generations from Slavery to the White House, where the Honorable John Rory Ficklin is sharing his family story in coming to this point, and certainly a wonderful story to share here during Black History Month. The Honorable John Rory Ficklin, good morning and welcome to WVON.
Hey, good morning, Rufus. And John is fine, Rufus.
Well, I had to
Thanks for having me.
I had to at least establish precedent first. So thank you for that. This is a phenomenal story, particularly to tell now. Talk to us about your book, why you thought this was the right moment to share this history.
Well, the book is actually it actually chronicles 170 years of my family's history. And my family's history is African American history. It's American history. It's our history. Yes. And this is the perfect time, I think, to bring this story out.
Talk about this journey. I mean, slavery to the White House and the year where you are and beyond. Tell us the story of the journey.
Well, my grandfather, and note that I said grandfather, not great-grandfather, but my grandfather was born about 1855. We really don't know exactly when he was born. He was born enslaved. He was separated from his mother and siblings at a young age. He never knew who his dad was. We assumed that his dad was white, looking at his physical features. And in the 1860 census, he was reported as being a mulatto toddler. During the Civil War, he was conscripted as a water boy for the Confederate Army. So he actually worked on the Confederate side of the war. He went on after emancipation. He went on, worked in quarries in Ohio, and he saved enough money to come back to Rappahannock County, Virginia, where he was born, to buy 37 acres of land. And he started farming that land. He was widowed twice. His third marriage was to my grandmother, where he had 10 children. One of those 10 children was my dad. And my dad and his older brother both migrated to Washington, where they found work, pretty common work at that time in the early 1900s for African Americans to work as domestics in wealthy family homes. And from there, my dad's older brother found a job in the White House and later brought his younger brother, my dad, to the White House to work as a pantryman. And then my dad went off to World War II, and after the war, he came back and took a job in the White House as a butler, where he served for 44 years. And then, my dad had married my mom in 1950 and had 2 children. One of them was me, and I had my first job in the White House was as a summer job as a messenger, and this was my junior year in high school during the Nixon administration. And at that point there were no fax machines or email or anything like that, so paper had to be moved by hand, not only in the White House complex, but around Washington, around the federal city. And I found myself frequently visiting this one particular office in downtown Washington that happened just to be the special prosecutor's office. And so this was Nixon administration, and this was during the Watergate affair. And so that's how my journey began. And then later I took a job at the National Security Council staff.
Now, you say that so casually, but you were one of the longest serving members of the National Security Staff, working there under 7 U.S. presidents, which is a pretty phenomenal task in and of itself. As you've gone back, John, and researched your family's history, how difficult was it for you to find the legacies? You didn't have Skip Gates helping you, so how did you get this done?
Yeah, do you have his number, by the way? I could use that. I wish I had it.
Yeah, he was just.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was. He did the Finding Your Roots with attorney Jim Montgomery here just a couple of days ago. So if we had talked a couple of days ago, I'd have gotten it for you.
Yeah, dag nabbit, we can fix that. It was very challenging researching my grandfather. A lot of what we know about him were stories that were passed down over the generations that my father and his siblings remembered and retold to me. Also, my wife did a wonderful job researching boxes and boxes of material, and online searching, not Amazon, Ancestry.com and those kinds of sources that were available to us. And we were able to put it together the best we could. And I'm sure Skip could help us. So don't forget me with that number.
Gotcha. Why do you think, this is somewhat an obvious question, but why do you think stories like yours or moments like you've uncovered in your narrative are left out of American history?
There are a lot of African-American stories that have gone untold, and they need to be told. And I was actually blessed to not only be my father's son and my father beginning to write this book, and my own initiative to make sure that this book was finished, but I was blessed to have a publisher who supported my vision of this book and helped me along the way. So our stories will come out, and they still need to be told, and people should continue telling their stories, and they won't be heard unless they're told. So I encourage other people who have been thinking about writing books and have started writing books to continue their work and do their best to get it out.
Indeed. John, for our listeners, and I encourage everyone to check this book out. It's titled An Unusual Path, 3 Generations from Slavery to the White House by the Honorable John Rory Ficklin, Ficklin. For our listeners who want to read more about your family story, what do you hope that they take away? They can get the book any place books are sold, but what do you hope that they take away from the book?
The book is about the power of honorable service. Honor can be achieved, from working behind the scenes, and that's exactly what my family did. This is 3 generations who served our country and honorably, and you just do what you need to do, and service is worthwhile doing.
Well, obviously, for you personally and throughout your family, that's what you all have done. And we certainly appreciate it, and really appreciate you telling the story, because so much of our history is just not there. And we need to be celebrated in all the ways in which we've done all the work that's been done. So thank you so much, John, for writing the book. And thanks for coming on this morning with us to share it. We appreciate you.
And thanks for having me on, Rufus.
Indeed. Be well.
Thank you.
All right. Let's take a break.
Be well.
We'll be back. Got some callers on the board. I'm at 773-591-1690. Let's chat. We'll be back right after this.
More of the morning show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
That's another amazing run by Team USA.
Mom, think I'll be on Team USA one day?
Well,
I'll take this one.
what? Are you speaking to us?
Yes, and to answer your question, anything's possible, especially with Xfinity.
So I can be the best snowboarder ever?
Well, I can't guarantee that, but Xfinity can guarantee that your internet price won't change for 5 years.
Okay. What if I practice every day?
Then maybe you'll be snowboarding for Team USA at the next Olympic Winter Games. And Mom, you'll still be paying the same price for Wi-Fi.
Ooh, really stuck the landing there.
It's the Xfinity Gold Medal Celebration. Now through February 22nd, get our best price on gig Wi-Fi for 5 years guaranteed, just $50 a month. Plus, get Peacock Premium included for 2 years. That's a $10.99 value per month. Xfinity. Imagine that. Proud partner of Team USA. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Actual speeds vary.
U Chicago Medicine Ingalls Memorial believes a few things. They believe that care that knows your life is care that knows your needs. That world-class care belongs in your neighborhood. That care that listens to you is care that's made for you. From primary and specialty care to emergency department services, comprehensive health care is under one roof in Calumet City, Flossmoor, Harvey, and Tinley Park, providing you and your family the best care possible. Visit uchicagomedicine.org/FCC to find what you need close to home.
Attention nonprofit organizations. In times of crisis, communication and community are critical. That's why WVON is partnering with the Chicago Community Trust, a philanthropic organization to help local nonprofits respond effectively during crisis moments. We'll be providing practical communication strategies to help organizations navigate challenges, protect trust, and continue serving our neighborhoods with clarity and purpose. To learn more about Meeting the Moment, visit wvon.com/meeting the moment. Strong communication isn't just helpful, it's essential. Make sure your message is heard when it matters most. Meeting the Moment is powered by the Chicago Community Trust.
Hey, it's Cleopatra Draper. Join me for the Midday Show, weekdays at 9 a.m., where we'll sip and spill all the tea. Do you want it hot or cold? Either way, we're serving up the flavor of the day. Weekdays at 9 a.m. right here on the station giving you what's now and what's next. 1690 WVON.
Hello, Chicagoland. This is your main man, Tio, Mr. Ceasefire Hardiman. I'm inviting all of my friends, associates, and colleagues to tune in to WVON, the Talk of Chicago, 1690 AM for the Tio, Mr. Ceasefire Hardiman Show. This show will cover all the hottest topics, including politics, reducing gun violence, and so much more, right here every Sunday morning from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 AM, WVON. Thank you.
This report is brought to you by Dairy Queen. Whoever said opposites attract was definitely talking about the new spicy menu at DQ. Spicy flamethrower chicken strips served with a dip of sweet DQ soft serve. Sounds wrong, but tastes so right. The new spicy menu at DQ. Happy tastes good for a limited time at participating locations.
Catch Reverend Al Sharpton online at WVON.com or on the WVON app. Just click the Al Sharpton banner. Tune in every day at 12 noon for your daily dose. And if you miss it, catch the overnight replay from midnight to 3 a.m. We're keeping it real with Al Sharpton on WVON 1690.
Tell everybody, Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Whatever you do, keep it real.
Ron had a tax problem he just couldn't handle on his own.
I owed the IRS taxes for over 5 years, but I didn't have any money to pay the taxes.
Those years cost him dearly.
Most of it was fees and interest. It was horrible.
Ron finally called in the pros.
I called Optima Tax Relief, and boy, am I happy I did.
The leading tax resolution firm, Optima, is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. They've resolved over $1 billion for their clients. Ron was overjoyed.
They settled my account with IRS. I was ecstatic. They are a lifesaver. They are. I am so happy.
Take Ron's advice and call Optima now for a free consultation.
Yeah, don't do like I did and wait. Call Optima Tax Relief. Do it now. You'll be ecstatic like me.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The movement for repair is growing. From city halls to parliaments and around the world, from Chicago to Cape Town, from Evanston to the UN, I'm Robin Rusemi.
And I'm Cam Howard. Together we're bringing you Reparations Now, where we talk power, policy, and progress, local, national, and international.
It's about justice.
It's about repair. It's about time.
Reparations now, because justice cannot wait.
Reparations Now, Saturdays at 4 p.m. only on WVON 1690.
This report is brought to you by Blindster.com. Kyle Cox started Blindster in his garage back in 2010. Since then, they've sold millions of custom blinds, shades, and shutters nationwide. Their blinds are DIY friendly, guaranteed to fit, and always cheaper than big box stores. Blindster.com.
Now back to the morning show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Welcome back. I have a few minutes to take some calls. Thurgood, good morning and welcome to VON. What's on your mind this morning, my friend?
Morning, my dear brother, and blessings to you and the WVON audience. You started out your show with an interview of Jim Reynolds, the great Jim Reynolds, the founder and partner of Loop Capital. the nation's probably foremost Black investment bank. And just briefly, I know the West Side is the best side, as you and my dear mayor reminds me. But myself and brother Jim Reynolds come from Inglewood on the South Side, so something good can come out of Inglewood. But Jim made the point of Reverend Jackson's reach internationally. He referenced the trip he took. But I wanted to dovetail on that and reference a name that might have been lost from history, and that is Fighter Power Goodman. Jesse Jackson went to Syria in the 1980s during the Ronald Reagan administration and brought back a black jet fighter, a pilot who had been shot down over Syria. Just think of that, a citizen, a regular individual having the recognition that the government of Syria would embrace him and accept him and bring him home and allow him to bring back the black fighter pilot Goodman. It speaks to Reverend Jackson's reach. And just very briefly, Reverend Jackson, he was a door opener. He used to give the analogy of how he was the ability to shake the tree and we had to prepare ourselves to receive the fruit. He was a tree shaker. And he created projects such as the Wall Street Project. We're opening doors for little black boutique investment banks like myself. Jim Reynolds was smarter than me. We didn't have the sense to get under that umbrella with Reverend Jackson, but we had a company that did brokerage of derivatives for pension plans. And we had all sorts of promises, contracts from big corporations, but they did not deliver. They gave us a spattering of business. We couldn't survive. But when Reverend Jackson created the entity, the Wall Street Project, and opened doors for companies like Mr. Reynolds and Luke Capital, it made a difference, shamelessly, selflessly, on behalf of others, not him. And just briefly, I'm often disturbed by the comment, well, Reverend Jackson, he was for himself or he failed somehow because look at our community today. It is absurd, the notion of one man, one not-for-profit, somehow taking on the mantle of trying to undo centuries of injustice for millions of people. And somehow this is against a nation that is stubbornly racist over centuries. No, Reverend Jackson did great things. He accomplished great things. And sometimes people say, well, what he benefited his family? Well, Mayor Daley said, well, if I can't be of a benefit to my family or my people around me, I don't want anything to do with politics. That was Mayor Daley. So Jackson is an incredible legacy, incredible courage. Think of this. He stood next to Dr. King, who was assassinated and was blood splattered. Who has the courage to go forward after witnessing something of that? I'm not sure if I would have the courage that he has demonstrated, having your life threatened, your family threatened and the like, nevertheless, tirelessly going forward on behalf of Black people. So an incredible story, an incredible legacy, and I just thank you and WVON for celebrating his life this morning.
I appreciate you calling in and sharing those thoughts and reminding us about the Reverend being able to go over and bring back people that others could not do. Only the Reverend, as Jim said, it's hard to say he's one of a kind, but he was one of a kind. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you. Let's find out from Candace what's in the headlines and what's in Black Information News. I have more for you when we come back after this.
I'm Candace McCollum, and here are your news headlines. Reverend Jesse Jackson's children speak on his death and his legacy. Governor Pritzker unveils fiscal year 2027 budget. And the FDA to review Moderna flu vaccine. We will have details on these stories and much more headed your way. National news from the Black Information Network is up next on Chicago's only urban talk radio station, WVON, 1690 AM, Berwyn, Chicago.
Here's VIN News Now. A Colorado bill would fully decriminalize prostitution between consenting adults. Supporters say it would help police focus on trafficking, but District Attorney George Brawler warns Governor Police would be doing the state a disservice by signing it.
It is difficult to imagine a more unneeded, untimely, and reckless bill.
The measure could take effect in July. Leaders nationwide are honoring Jesse Jackson. Illinois House Speaker Chris Welch says Jackson taught him that public service means lifting unheard voices. Chicago's Black Mayor Brandon Johnson ordered flags to half staff, while former Mayor Lori Lightfoot called him an iconic barrier-breaking champion. And MLB Players Association Chief Tony Clark is stepping down after an internal probe found he had an inappropriate relationship with his sister-in-law. Clark is the first African-American to lead the union. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app. Here's more with Terry McCready.
The Republican National Committee filing a lawsuit in an attempt to block a Virginia redistricting referendum. Virginia Democrats successfully put a proposal on the ballot this April that would allow the state legislature to redraw U.S. congressional districts with the aim of picking up more seats. Black House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries addressing the redistricting push back in August.
We will continue to respond when necessary across the country. Right now, this has happened in Texas. California has responded. Let's see what comes next.
The RNC sued yesterday seeking to block the vote, arguing the proposal violates the state's constitution. The Virginia Supreme Court will take up the case, but isn't set to issue a ruling until after the referendum. The RNC wants to stop the proposal from going before voters while the court considers the case.
All we're doing, frankly, is trying to make the situation a little bit more fair on a national scale. The Democrats have gerrymandered their states really aggressively. We think there are opportunities to push back against that, and that's really all we're doing.
Vice President J.D. Vance on NBC's Meet the Press defending GOP redistricting efforts last year. President Trump honoring Black History Month.
Black History Month is really all about American history.
During a reception at the White House yesterday, the president acknowledged the Black members of his administration, including Secretary of Housing and Urban Development Scott Turner. The president issued a proclamation recognizing Black History Month on February 13th. Trump also honoring Reverend Jesse Jackson, the civil rights icon, died earlier this week. The U.S. House passing two bills this week, led by Black Representative of Massachusetts, Ayanna Pressley. The focus is strengthening eviction protections and helping families receiving federal housing assistance while building long-term financial stability. The measures, the Eviction Helpline Act and the Helping More Families Save Act, moving forward as part of the Bipartisan Housing for the 21st Century Act. Pressley says the housing crisis is burdening people nationwide. She says it's time that laws reflect the basic necessity of a safe, affordable, stable home. She says for those who know how destabilizing evictions can be or the burden of financial inequity, this legislation is for you. Somalia's government says progress is being made in its long-running fight against the al-Qaeda-linked al-Shabaab militant group. Omar Ali Abdi, Somalia's state minister for defense, said there are new locations and settlements that were liberated from these militants that were under the group's control for the last 18 years. According to analysts, U.S.-backed airstrikes have also played a role in helping the government reclaim territory from al-Shabaab, which once controlled an expansive portion of the country. Stay informed, stay connected, and subscribe. Follow VIN News this hour wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Terry McCready for the Black Information Network.
This report is brought to you by ComEd, powering lives. Here's a great savings idea. Did you know you've got the power to manage your energy? Yep, from usage alerts to energy savings programs and more. ComEd has all kinds of ideas to help you gain control over your energy cost. Find out more at ComEd.com/energy savings.
It's the afternoon show with Atiba Buchanan and LaDonna Ray.
Johnny Gill, JG, God bless you, man.
OMG.
What does Chicago mean to you?
This is probably one of my all-time favorite places we play because the energy here in Chicago is just always electrifying, always. So I love playing Chicago. And it just feels almost, for me, it feels like home.
Weekdays at 3 p.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
This is your host and life coach, Linnell Harris, and I want you to join me every Sunday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. for Inspirational Perspective. On Inspirational Perspective, we talk life vision, life purpose, and the show is all about helping you live the best life possible. So join me as we look at supporting you in living the life you intend to live and making your life's vision a reality. Every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 a.m. WVON.
This report is brought to you by Capital One. What's in your wallet? Capital One offers no fees or minimums on checking accounts, and most Capital One cafes are open 7 days a week to assist you with your banking needs. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank. Capital One, N.A. member, FDIC.
1690 WVON remembers the Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson Sr.
Black, beautiful, proud. I must be respected. I must be protected.
You were a beacon of light, not only for Chicago, but for the nation. From our family to yours. Rest in peace, Reverend Jackson. Job well done.
Live from the Xfinity Studios, it's the station that America listens to. WVON, Berwyn, Chicago. It's Rufus Williams on Chicago's essential storyteller, WVON.
You wonder how we do it. It's just one simple rule. I'm just cool.
Honey, baby, can't you see? Girl, I'm so cool. Ain't nobody bad like me. Hey. R-U-F-U-S. What's that spell? R-U-F-U-S.
I'm just cool.
Honey, baby, can't you see? Girl, I'm so cool. Ain't nobody bad like me. Sing it, baby. R-U-F-U-S. What's that thing? R-U-F-U-S. That spell cool.
The audio genius, the audio genius, the audio genius.
Welcome back. A couple things I need to make sure that you are aware of. You want to stay tuned at 9 o'clock this morning. Mark Morial, the president of the National Urban League, will be in the studio chatting with Cleopatra. So you want to stay tuned for that. This evening at 6 o'clock at the Harold Washington Library, go and check out our friend, constitutional scholar, Dr. Gloria J. Brown Marshall. She'll be there in conversation and signing her book, History of Protest in the United States. And you want to make sure you're tuned here tomorrow morning. As always, if it's Friday, it's the 411 with Candace McCollum. But as we've been receiving tributes on the life and legacy of Reverend Jesse Jackson, tomorrow morning we'll be joined by none other than the leader of the Democratic leader of the House, Hakeem Jeffries, will join me tomorrow morning and talk about his thoughts on the legacy of Reverend Jackson. So if you want to be any place, you want to be right here on WVON with us. Got a couple guests on the line that I've been looking forward to talking to. Matt Morrison grew up in Lansing, Michigan, grew up in Northern California, went to UCLA and played baseball, began his career in broadcasting as an intern at CNN Sports. CNN Sports, they have CNN Sports? But it's CNN Sports, and has extended it for more than 35 years, doing a number of things. Has a wonderful daughter, Moran. She, Olympian, swimmer. Some things happened, and he wrote a book about it. The book is called Touch. It's the Moran Morrison story, and we have both of them here this morning to talk about it. Matt, Moran, good morning and welcome to WVON.
Hey, Rufus. Thank you so much for having me on. The fact of the matter is, Marin did not win her battle with brain cancer, and she passed away in 2009. But the book is out now to examine an amazing journey that swept up a lot of cool people along the way and highlighted the fortitude of a young woman who overcame great adversity to fulfill her dream of swimming in Beijing, which she did in 2008. And it's a great human interest story. And thanks for allowing me to chat with you about it.
It's wonderful that you're here to chat with us about it. And so sorry for your loss of her. I can't even imagine what that's like. But her fortitude and your ability to stop and tell this story just becomes even that much greater, particularly as we're winding up the Winter Olympics. So Olympics is really on the minds of many. But Matt, tell the story of Marin.
Well, Marin was a very sweet, simple, a child that had a lot of challenges growing up. She had learning disabilities, and she was diagnosed with epilepsy as a toddler. Over the years, she grew into, she was a water baby that loved swimming, and it turns out, she's pretty good. At 6 years old, we realized she had a talent for swimming. She always loved it. And as she grew, we realized, she's, got the heart of a champion type swimmer, is one of the best in her state, one of the best in the country as she grew older. And then as a freshman in high school, she was having a little difficulty towards the end of her freshman season. And long story short, she was diagnosed with a brain tumor, had immediate resection surgery, had another one within 24 hours. And the third surgery 3 months later left her with hemiparalysis, which was, paralysis on your right side, as if you'd had a stroke. So she was disabled and she was disheartened, but she wanted to return to swimming, which she did as a form of therapy. But it turned out she was an exceptional athlete as a disabled athlete, and she made the USA Paralympic team. And she fulfilled her goal of reaching Beijing through some horrible health crises. She was in bad. She earned her spot on the USA Paralympic swim team in May of 2008, but by September, when the games came along, her health had taken a downturn and she was barely able to compete. But that's what she did. She competed and finished and fulfilled her dream with a lot of people cheering her along the way, and I think she inspired a lot of people as well.
Matt, that's the beauty of so many of these Olympic backstories. What we see on TV or wherever we are athletes who are competing at levels in which we could only dream of doing, but how they get there and what the struggle and the journey is to get there is even greater. And the one you're telling about your daughter is just phenomenal. Talk to us though. So she's swimming in high school and then suddenly something changed. What was it that happened? What was it that was noticed? And how did you all deal with that initially?
She had been on medication since 2 years old to deal with various elements of epilepsy. She had only had 2 grand mals over a period of about 13 years, but little temporal lobe seizures that you could see affecting her cognition in certain moments. And it just things weren't really right. And she was 14 years old at that time, and the combination of drugs were something we were always keeping an eye on, and something just wasn't right. And then at a swim meet in February, after the high school swim season finished, a week later, she was at a big meet, the USA swimming meet in Savannah, and she just vomited all over the deck. She was just all of a sudden very sick. And we had the diagnosis. We took her in for an MRI, and that diagnosis happened that night.
Talk about, as a parent, as a family, as a father, when you see that, I'm imagining your full sprint down to the deck to figure out what's going on. And then how do you manage from that moment?
I was not in attendance. Her mother, Nancy, scooped her up and brought her home. It's not as though this was a one-off, and we'd always been monitoring, what her neuro health was, and then but it was just horrifying that all of a sudden there was a giant brain tumor, and it was just jump into emergency mode. Marin, had the best reaction. She was ready to come out the gate fighting. Was horrified that it was a brain tumor, but she didn't spend much time dwelling on that. It was like, what do we do? So that was a good example of this kind of character that I hope is shined in this book.
Look, when she comes out like that, then you can't do anything but fight for her and applaud
Right.
her.
And she got sicker along the way. She had her great moments of recovery, but then as things petered out towards the end, let's say, she just had a great attitude, a great courage about the cards she was dealt. She was the type of person that tried to make everyone else feel comfortable around her, and just a sweet, gentle nature. And you can't imagine that, this kind of misfortune would fall upon you, but then to see her reaction to it was very, in retrospect, that was the biggest thing. She had just great character with dealing with adversity, and she helped other people deal with her adversity. That was great.
Was the Olympics, was that her dream? How did that happen? How did that become the place that she ended up?
That was the dream. When she was first diagnosed, and basically the diagnosis was pretty horrible. They kind of said, 3-6 months, to get your affairs in order and let her, live out whatever time's left in comfort. And she's like, no way, I'm going swimming, and I'm just going to swim every day. And, she had a purpose, and that was huge. And, she swam hell or high water, and it's because that's what she wanted to do. In the water, her paralyzed body was freer. And, she felt the best she could physically by being in the water. So that's kind of where she spent the rest of her life.
Wow. An inspiration from Beijing, but your book touched the Marin Morrison story as a way in which this inspirational story just continues. It's totally devastating to get that kind of a diagnosis, to have that kind of life, to go so quickly. But so much of what she left and so much of what you share in the story is just a way it feels, Matt, that the legacy and her inspiration continues long after her race.
And that was the purpose, Rufus. I needed to write this story. I had a ton of material from journals and such that we had kept over the years. And it took me 15 years. It's a very emotional journey, a lot of material to work with. But in the end, I had to give this little person her tribute that she so incredibly earned. And I'm her dad, and I'm a journalist. If I didn't write this book, I would be completely remiss in my entire life.
You would be much less than a journalist, but certainly not much less than a dad. I'm glad that you are both. The book is titled Touch, the Marin Morrison story. It's available wherever you get your books. I encourage you to visit the independent bookstores because they can certainly use the help. But Matt, thank you so much for your daughter, and thank you so much for this writing, because it does inspire all of us that we can do things beyond what we may have ever thought that we could do just by Marin's ability to do what she did. Thank you so much for the story, and thanks so much for coming on with us.
Rufus, thank you so much for illuminating it, and I really appreciate being on with you all, and hi to all Chicago.
Thank you so much. Be well, my friend. Let's take a break. We'll take more of your calls when we come back after this.
Show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Hi, I'm Richard Boykin, and I want to be your next congressman in the 7th Congressional District. I have a sense of urgency. Now is the time to reverse the cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, and SNAP benefits. Now is the time to extend the Obamacare subsidies. Now is the time to close the life expectancy gap and other healthcare disparities. Now is the time to close the wealth disparity. Now is the time to close the achievement gap. Now is the time to protect Social Security for our senior citizens. Now is the time to pass a constitutional amendment recognizing healthcare as a right. Now is the time to make housing more affordable. Now is the time to fight. Fight, fight, punch 39, Richard Boykin for Congress. Paid for and authorized by Richard Boykin for Congress.
That's another amazing run by Team USA.
Mom, think I'll be on Team USA one day?
Well, I'll take this one.
What? Are you speaking to us?
Yes, and to answer your question, anything's possible, especially with Xfinity.
So I can be the best snowboarder ever?
Well, I can't guarantee that, but Xfinity can guarantee that your internet price won't change for 5 years.
Okay. What if I practice every day?
Then maybe you'll be snowboarding for Team USA at the next Olympic Winter Games. And Mom, you'll still be paying the same price for Wi-Fi.
Ooh, really stuck the landing there.
It's the Xfinity Gold Medal Celebration. Now through February 22nd, get our best price on gig Wi-Fi for 5 years guaranteed, just $50 a month. Plus, get Peacock Premium included for 2 years. That's a $10.99 value per month. Xfinity, imagine that. Proud partner of Team USA. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Actual speeds vary.
Black Creativity 2026 is now open at the Griffin Museum of Science and Industry. The exhibit features the nation's longest running exhibition of Black art, plus interactive family experiences, STEAM career showcases, youth flight school camps, and signature events throughout the season. From art and innovation to education and community celebration, Black Creativity uplifts the voices, stories, and contributions of Black artists across generations. Buy tickets today at griffinmsi.org.
Are you a fraud-paying American? 1 in 4 tax-paying Americans have been victim of identity fraud. With LifeLock, your identity, if it's stolen, they fix it guaranteed or your money back. And last year, billions in refunds were stolen. Could be from your salary, overtime, or second job. Gone. But this year, you don't need to stay a victim. Because this tax season, fraud-paying American is something no American should have to claim. Save up to 40% off your first year with the promo code BECK. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms do apply.
There's no championship league for small business owners, but if there was, you'd be at the top of the standings. Because going pro with Lenovo Pro means you've got the winning formation, one-on-one advice, IT solutions, and customized hardware powered by Intel Core Ultra processors help you stay ahead of the competition. Business goes pro with Lenovo Pro. Sign up for free at lenovo.com/pro.
Lenovo. Greetings, WVON family. It's your brother and friend, Bomani Obadeli of the Activist Hour. Join me on Saturday mornings as we discuss a holistic and public health approach to addressing community violence. We will also be discussing ways that we can create a safe, peaceful, economically thriving, and healthy communities. Join me Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. on WVON for the Activist Hour.
This report is brought to you by SuperSure. Do you own a small business? You need to hear this. A seismic shift is coming. It's time to get super sure. Not kind of sure, not pretty sure, not a little sure, but super sure. The seismic shift is coming. Super sure, coming soon.
WVON traffic and weather now.
Chicago, good Thursday morning. Another day, another blessing. It is February 19th, and our update on the roads begins on the Edens. Lake Cook to Montrose, a 15-minute ride. If you're on the Kennedy, O'Hare to downtown, clocking in at 48 minutes. Slow moving inbound between Montrose and Division. Right now on the Stevenson, Tri-State to DuSable, Lakeshore Drive, a 38-minute trip. The Dan Ryan, 95th to downtown, 30 minutes slow go in the local lanes. Inbound between Garfield and Roosevelt. I-57, I-80 to the Ryan, a 22-minute trip, and the Bishop Ford. 80-94 to the Ryan. You're looking at a 25-minute ride. Your weather for today, cloudy to partly sunny. A high of 54 this afternoon. We are expecting some rainfall and possible strong storms. Tonight, a low of 35. I'm Candace McCollum with an update on the roads on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Then what are you waiting for? It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on 1690 WVON.
Welcome back. Before I get to the phones, I just want to point out former Prince Andrew was arrested this morning on his birthday, presumably in connection with the Epstein files. Now, this is the brother of the king. This is the man who could have been in the throne, but what they do in London, they're locking him up. What do we do in the U.S.? What do we do in the U.S.? There is a question for you. We need to have the same level of contempt as they have there, and some justice needs to go to these young ladies who were so brutalized by these men over all of these years. Their rights need to be protected. There are things that need to be done, and the fact that anyone in the Department of Justice would suggest that there are no charges to come, now with the information that's been coming out, something needs to be done. They're doing it there. More needs to be done here. Back to the phones. Jim, good morning. Welcome to VON. What's on your mind this morning?
Well, it's been a while. I just wanted to kind of reflect this week with the passing of Jesse Jackson. My connection with the Jackson family started about 20 years ago. This is also the value of the radio station, because I was scanning through the dials, and Shantita had her nice show in the morning, and I started calling in and became a regular caller, and we had a lot of good exchanges, and there was events and things, so I met her father there a few times, and the last time I saw him was at the Rainbow Push event at Soldiers Field right before COVID unnecessarily locked everything down, and so I just kind of reflect, even though sometimes we don't agree on a lot of issues, we can still get along and appreciate the people that have done things for society. And also, like I said, the value of the radio station, WVON, it reaches a lot of people. And I think that's a good, healthy thing for society and people to call in and participate, even though we're not all on the same page politically. I think it's a good discourse, and that's the value of the radio station.
Jim, thank you for that. I appreciate it, and appreciate your discourse. Even though we don't agree, we have to have it in order to know where we stand. Thank you for that. Mike, good morning and welcome to VON. What's on your mind this morning?
Hey, good morning, Rufus. How are you, brother?
Doing well.
Yeah, I just want to call in to once again pay tribute to Reverend Jackson. I didn't know him personally. I've met him several times. But over the last, I'd say 55 years, I've had occasion to march with him, to be at rallies with him. I participated in Black Expo. And, as I was reading things about Reverend Jackson, I at first kind of said, damn, I forgot he did this, he did that. But then I stopped worrying about what I forgot. And it just speaks to how prolific he was as a leader, as an effective, not even call him a leader, just to say as an effective person in his life, a man who fulfilled his life and who has left us all with a hard example of what it is that your life should be about, man. Live for what you believe in, fight for what you believe in, and stand there, stand for what you believe in. I'll never forget when I was a teenager, in the early, and in my early 20s, back in the late 60s. Reverend Jackson emboldened us. I'm sure you recall the things that all the insults and assaults by racist Daddy Daly, and to see his response to that, it gave me an option to going out and beating the hell out of some racist white folks. But as I said, he emboldened us. He gave us strength, just like a number of other brothers around at that time. The world owes this brother a debt of gratitude, man. We all should be thanking him today.
Amen to that. Thank you so much, Mike, for calling in and sharing your thoughts. We appreciate that. See if I can squeeze one more in before we go. Lee, good morning and welcome to VON. What's on your mind this morning?
I don't have enough time, I know it, but I know how powerful you are about education. So right now, if you can look and see, there's an op-ed in the Tribune about the federal tax that the administration from the beautiful bill is doing, the federal tax credit scholarship program. Mm-hmm. I don't know, Rufus, but I know the devil is in the details with anything that comes out of that administration. And so even if someone is pushing it as a great choice, I can see through the writings that it's undermining the educational system in the U.S. and it's getting the families and the Americans to be complicit in it, right? The $1,700 you get to write off on your taxes. So if you can do me a favor, man, and get some people on and speak about this before everybody starts pounding on the drum of getting Illinois to opt into this, I think we really need to do some real research on it, because we already know he's trying to gut the Department of Education. Hell, he almost already has. But this is even worse, because now if I get you to buy into it, I'm not doing anything. You're gutting it. You see what I'm saying?
Yep. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for that. I'll look at that op-ed and look into it and see what we can bring to a greater understanding, because to your point, it's not always what it seems. And coming from there, it rarely is, certainly not to our benefit. Let's find out from Candace what's going on in the news. I've got more for you when we come back after this.
I'm Candace McCollum, and here's what's happening in your local and national news. As the world prepares for the homegoing of civil rights icon Reverend Jesse Jackson, his children are speaking out about their father's legacy. Perry Williams has more.
Jackson's son, Yusef, who will take over the operations of Rainbow Push, gave his personal feelings.
God gave my father some extra innings. His death did not come without warning to us, yet we're still painfully unprepared emotionally.
5 of the 6 Jackson siblings also spoke on their father's impact on the lives of so many people. Reverend Jackson suffered from a rare form of Parkinson's disease, and his services will be held next week. In Chicago, I'm Perry Williams.
In other news, Governor Pritzker is proposing what he calls his 8th balanced budget proposal. Pritzker says the $56 billion fiscal year 2027 spending plan aims to prioritize affordability without raising taxes on working people. As part of the budget, the governor will launch an initiative to lower housing costs. The budget proposes a 2-year pause on the authorization of new data center tax credits. It also includes investments in early childhood education and childcare, K through 12 education, higher education, and public safety and violence prevention. And the FDA has reversed its decision and is now agreeing to review Moderna's flu vaccine. Sarah Lee Kessler has more.
Last week, the FDA notified Moderna it was refusing to review its new influenza shot. Moderna now seeking accelerated approval for people ages 65 and up and full approval for those 50 to 64. The vaccine uses mRNA technology, the same method used in COVID shots, an approach that's been criticized by Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. The FDA expected to decide on the new Moderna vax by August 5th. I'm Sarah Lee Kessler.
I'm Candace McCollum, and that's what's happening in your news now on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
It's Gospel with Pam Morris-Walton, your gospel sister, on WVON Sundays, 11 to 2 p.m. Music to help you on your journey. I'll see you there, WVON.
Every week, there are names we speak in whispers, faces frozen in time, stories that end with no justice. I am Cleopatra Draper, host of The Cleopatra Show, and I'm not letting them be forgotten. Help Find My Killer is where we revisit the cold cases of Black men, women, and children whose lives were stolen. Cases where killers were never brought to justice. Every Thursday, we'll hear from families who are still grieving, investigators who are still searching, and a community that refuses to give up hope. Because silence protects the guilty, and we will not be silent. Help Find My Killer every Thursday on The Cleopatra Show, exclusively on WVON 1690 AM.
Find My Killer Thursdays on The Cleopatra Show. Let us help you find justice for your loved one. Email executive producer Sonia Walls at sonia@wvon.com. That's SUNYA@WVON.com.
It's time to focus with Robert McKay. Quality conversation, protecting, preserving, and preparing our past, present, and future. Sunday evenings at 4 p.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Hello, Chicagoland. This is your main man, T.O., Mr. Ceasefire Hardiman. I'm inviting all of my friends, associates, and colleagues to tune in to WVON, the Talk of Chicago, 1690 AM for the T.O., Mr. Ceasefire Hardiman Show. This show will cover all the hottest topics, including politics, reducing gun violence, and so much more, right here every Sunday morning from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 AM, WVON. Thank you.
This report is brought to you by IHOP. Introducing the IHOP Value Menu. All your breakfast favorites, like pancakes, eggs, bacon, or French toast, are just $6 every day. Get a big filling sitting down. Breakfast for only $6. Go to your happy plates with the $6 IHOP Value Menu. Available every day at IHOP.
WVON traffic and weather now.
Good Thursday morning. It is time for an update on the roads, and we begin on the Dan Ryan 95th to downtown, a 35-minute ride. Slow moving inbound between 95th and the Skyway. I-57, I-80 to the Ryan. 26 minutes, a slow go inbound between 119th and the Dan Ryan and the Bishop Ford. 80-94 to the Ryan. You're looking at a 29-minute ride. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, Hollywood to Monroe. Right now, 25 minutes if you're on the Edens, the Lake Cook to Montrose, 17 and the Kennedy O'Hare to downtown, clocking in at 50 minutes. Your weather for today, you might want to grab an umbrella before you walk out the door. You're expecting some rainfall this afternoon with possible strong storms, a high of 54. Tonight, a low of 35. And tomorrow, morning snow showers is in the forecast. I'm Candace McCollum with an update on the roads on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
If you're not out of the bed yet, then what are you waiting for? It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on 1690 WVON.
I just want you where you can stay forever. You can be so that it will only get better. You and me together through the days and nights. I don't worry 'cause everything's gonna be alright. People keep talking, they can say what they like. But all I know is everything's gonna be alright. No one can get in the way of what I'm feeling.
Welcome back. So you're hearing Alicia Keys because I'm expecting a call any moment from Kecia Lewis, who played in Hell's Kitchen. They've got a big event coming up, not just Hell's Kitchen, but some stars that she's going to come on and we will talk about. Titus, did you see Hell's Kitchen?
No, I did not get a chance to see while I was here, but I know a couple colleagues did.
Titus, I'm going to need you to go out and see some of this stuff.
I'm always here, man. It's just so hard to
I know,
have
man,
a
but
personal
you
life
gotta-
outside of
you
here.
got to find a way because I keep coming on talking about these wonderful things that I go to, and they're wonderful that I go to. And you got to get out and get some of these.
I'm trying to learn how to make time in the new year for other stuff. So, but I'm being horrible at it right now.
All right, work on that. All right. Vis is on the line. Vis, good morning and welcome to VON. What's on your mind this morning?
First of all, how are you, sir? May I ask?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I don't know. I was over at Push the first day, early in the morning. I told him, I said, I wanted to be there to get there before the angels carried him away, before the sunrise. But what is interesting about the Reverend, let me tell you a story first. In 1975, I was at Martin Luther King High School. Charles Elmore was the principal. Okay. We had just started out, 1971, the first school built for King in America. Wow. In Chicago. Merrick Daley built it in 1971. We were Old Fordsville. And I was one of the first students to walk through the door. And in 1975, when we were getting ready to get out of there as seniors, Frank Robertson became the baseball first black manager for the Cleveland Indians. He came here to play the White Sox, and Reverend Jackson called him to come to push. And Reverend Jackson got the baseball team from Martin Luther King High School to come to that breakfast. He did a breakfast for us, or lunch. And the whole baseball team came, and the coach, Douglas Stevenson, and Dr. Elmore. But here was the thing. Guess what? Not guess what. Forgive me for that. What was ironic, there was a blessing in disguise. We were there in front of two historic figures, Reverend Jackson and Frank Robinson. And guess what happened? At the end of the season, we ended up in the city baseball championship. Could that have rubbed off us just that moment? Our baseball team, we lost the Steinmans 2-1. That was incredible when I think about it, Reverend. That's the impact Reverend Jackson had. And of course, I'm 70 years old now. I emulated my whole life from all respect. Because when he first came here, I was a little boy. So I saw him his whole life, and everything I did, everything, baseball, everything I did in the community, I emulated him. He was so funny. He was an unbelievable man. And you know what? I was in Washington, D.C., Arlington, Virginia about 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And I said, go to Chicago for the election and help somebody out. And then I thought it was God brought me home because I hadn't been here for 2 years. That God brought me home for the election, and it wasn't that. It was because he was getting ready to come and take Reverend Jesse Jackson home. I just wanted to tell you that story.
Appreciate that, Vince. What did it feel like to be there on that morning?
It was quiet. It was like I lost my mom, you lost your mom. There's a like you walk through space, you walk through time when something like that happened, and you just trying to keep your sense, but it was like a transitional, something had transitioned. The press was even somber. Yeah. And then I walked around the whole building. And but I would call it, in summation, I would say it was peaceful, transitional. Because we had been having breakfast there. You know, we have a free breakfast every Saturday morning.
Yes, he does.
So we go there, Butler, the baseball coaches, Simeon, and some others. We go over there and have breakfast, and then we go into the auditorium. So maybe it was something in the midst, as Shakespeare probably would have said. And we didn't know it was coming.
Yeah. Vince, thank you so much for calling in and sharing those reflections. We really, we have work to do. And I think in so many ways, the honor of the Reverend will be the work that we do to try to carry on what he started. And just as nobody can fill his shoes, we certainly have some broad shoulders to stand on. So just as you came and you're looking to get folks out to vote, these are the things that we need to do to honor his legacy, because he worked so hard for us. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing that story.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate you. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back right after this.
More of The Morning Show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Tuned in to your favorite WVON personalities on Facebook Live? Don't just watch, like it, love it, share it. Every click helps us grow the conversation and keep the community strong. So remember, like it, love it, share it, Chicago.
This Black History Month, WVON is coming with a message. Kiss My Black Past. We're partnering with adopted Chicago artist Keith David Connor, the visionary behind Black history illustrations that have inspired Chicago for years. His latest work, The Culture Proud Calendar, connects to WVON's Eracism campaign at a time when Black history and Black identity are under attack. This month, we're not just celebrating the past, we're protecting it and pushing forward. Unapologetically Black, unapologetically proud. This Black History Month, WVON doesn't just honor history, we make it.
Are you a fraud-paying American? 1 in 4 tax-paying Americans have been victim of identity fraud. With LifeLock, your identity, if it's stolen, they fix it guaranteed or your money back. And last year, billions in refunds were stolen. Could be from your salary, overtime, or second job. Gone. But this year, you don't need to stay a victim. Because this tax season, fraud-paying American is something no American should have to claim. Save up to 40% off your first year with the promo code BECK. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms do apply.
There's no championship league for small business owners. But if there was, you'd be at the top of the standings. Because going pro with Lenovo Pro means you've got the winning formation, one-on-one advice, IT solutions, and customized hardware powered by Intel Core Ultra processors help you stay ahead of the competition. Business goes pro with Lenovo Pro. Sign up for free at lenovo.com/pro.
Lenovo.
The movement for repair is growing. From city halls to parliaments and around the world, from Chicago to Cape Town, from Evanston to the UN. I'm Robin Rusin.
And I'm Cam Howard. Together we're bringing you Reparations Now, where we talk power, policy, and progress, local, national, and international.
It's about justice.
It's about repair. It's about time.
Reparations now, because justice cannot wait.
Reparations Now, Saturdays at 4 p.m. only on WVON 1690.
Hey, it's Cleopatra Draper. Join me for the Midday Show weekdays at 9 a.m., where we'll sip and spill all the tea. Do you want it hot or cold? Either way, we're serving up the flavor of the day. Weekdays at 9 a.m. right here on the station giving you what's now and what's next. 1690 WVON.
It's the afternoon show with Atiba Buchanan and LaDonna Ray.
Legendary Michael Collier, comedian, actor, storyteller.
I'll be so funny. I wish I was in the audience watching
myself.
Yes,
I love it.
Don't ask how was it making Jesus laugh, because he had been doing comedy for so long.
And he stole some of my stuff too. I ain't want to say nothing.
Weekdays at 3 p.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON. You never know who's going to stop by WVON.
Brother Robert Townsend in the studio from the West Side.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Michael Jai White, good morning and welcome to WVON.
Thank you.
Abby Phillip, welcome to WVON. How are you?
I'm so great. Thanks so much for having me.
Brian Urlacher. What's up, Brian? Pleasure to have you on the show.
Appreciate having me on.
We are the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
This report is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Don't let data limits hold you back from being the GIF master in the family group chat. Switch to Straight Talk Wireless and get Unreal Unlimited data on a reliable 5G network. Straight Talk, available at Walmart or straighttalk.com.
Keep your eyes on the road and both hands on the steering wheel.
We will not be held responsible for any accidents.
It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Like a highway, and it's on fire. Filled with catastrophe, but she knows she can fly away. Oh, she got both feet on the ground, and she's burning it down. Oh, she got her head in the clouds, and she's not backing down. This girl is on fire.
Welcome back. Just a reminder, Mark Morial is going to be in the studio at 9 o'clock with Cleopatra. You want to stay tuned for that. But Titus, as I listened to the promo a moment ago with all of those wonderful people who've been on the station, we are now being bested by everybody because we're being joined this morning by Kecia Lewis, who is the 2024 Tony Award winner for Best Featured Actress in Hell's Kitchen. Kecia, good morning and welcome to WVON.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you know what? I will have you all the time if you will come on and chat with us. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you.
No, thank you. And you're going to be here locally this weekend with a number of folks supporting the Illinois Conservatory for the Arts, A Night of Broadway. Before we get to that, Hell's Kitchen, I've seen it, I think, 3 times now. Just phenomenal work. No, oh, wow to you. Because what you all did there was amazing. What was that? What's it like doing that every night and doing it at the level in which you all do it? You're doing it, in front of the audiences. What does it feel like to you being there on stage?
I mean, it's a thrill. My childhood dream was to be in show business. It probably honed in on Broadway, probably at about, 14 or 15 years old. And so, to actually live your dreams is a blessing, and it's an experience that for me, I mean, it's unparalleled. There's nothing like it at all. And to do a show like Hell's Kitchen is particularly that role, Miss Liza Jane. I look at it as a privilege and a service. I feel like people come to see theater or a film or whatever artistic work that people, indulge in. I think that people want to lose themselves for a while, maybe 2.5 hours, watching a Broadway show, and to be able to educate as well as entertain is a privilege. And while at the same time living out my dreams, there's nothing like it. I'm very, very grateful that I've had the opportunities and experiences that I've had.
So you moved to this idea at 14 years old. Did you know that you could sing and act at that time, or what was happening with you that brought you to the point of thinking you could do this at this level?
When I was 12, there was a boy in my Sunday school class that I really liked. And at that point, I had not gone to regular church service. I was only going to Sunday school. And so this little boy asked me if I would like to come on a Saturday to a fundraiser that the youth choir was doing. I didn't know there was a youth choir. So long story short, I go to this fundraiser. It was washing cars. I had a fun time. The pastor took us to McDonald's to eat. And then there was a youth choir rehearsal. And I was just sitting there, just kind of hanging out. And the minister of music asked me, could I sing? And I didn't know if I could or not. So he just kept playing stuff and said, sing this, sing this, sing this. And from his reaction, I thought, oh, maybe I can sing. He said, you're coming to church on Sunday and you're going to be a part of this choir. So that was literally how I learned I could sing. And then the first time I sang a solo, in experiencing the reaction of people, I thought, okay, maybe I really can do something with this. And I'd always had a love for acting. So marrying the two has been really, really wonderful.
That's amazing. And then when you come to a point of going on Broadway, that's some place that everybody dreams of, that songs have been written about, that the world changes and works in that space. So when you finally got there, what was the experience like when you finally got? Do you realize that you're there? Do you look back and say this is something, or how does one feel when one finally makes it there?
It's for me, it was pretty surreal. I guess my story is a little unusual in that my first Broadway show, I booked it when I was 2 weeks shy of 19. So I was in college, and my first Broadway show was Dreamgirls, the original Dreamgirls.
Wow.
So I was working with Cheryl Lee Ralph. I was working with Loretta Devine. I was working with Cleavon Derrick. I was singing that music at that time. This was way before it was a film, or Miss Beyonce was involved, or Jennifer Hudson. So these were people that I admired and looked up to. And to be able to work with them, it was pretty surreal. I was out of my body a lot of the time. But I also was able to take in watching the professionalism, the experience, how people moved, how people worked to give excellent performances. And I learned a lot. And just to be a part of that at that age, now at my age, seems unreal. But in that moment, I think I was just so eager to please and wanting to do my part that I just soaked it all in. And it was pretty amazing.
All right. Amazing. I would tell you from the other side of the stage, that was my first trip to New York. And one of the things I did was go and see that play. So I was there with you. Yes. Yes.
Wow.
First time ever going to New York. So we're kindred souls there. You're going to be here.
Yeah.
Though. You're going to be out in the western suburbs this weekend for the Illinois Conservatory of Arts, along with Eden Espinoza. I'm going to mess up somebody's names. Jakina. Yeah, that was close. Jakina Kalunkango, Michael Longoria, Samantha Pauly, Christine Sherrill. You got a bunch of stars going on at this night of Broadway. What are you guys going to be doing out there?
We're all going to be singing songs that represent our careers in some way and our hearts in some way. And it's going to be a really, really fun night. Both Eden and Jakina are good friends of mine. So I'm looking forward to it also being a little mini girls trip. It'll be really fun.
Well, you know, it's out in the western suburbs, but I am going to drive from the city out there just to check you all out because this seems like just a phenomenal.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Just a phenomenal. Oh, it's going to be after party too.
Yeah, we got a little after party. Please introduce yourself.
I will find you and I will do that.
Yeah.
And we will take a picture that'll go up on WVON's website to make sure that folks know.
Oh, I love that.
We actually
Thank
did
you.
so. But it's a wonderful thing. The Illinois Conservatory of Arts is a non-for-profit arts education institution out in the western suburbs, and it will be great.
Right.
It's great that you all are doing that. How did you get connected with this?
I'm pretty sure one of the directors of the program saw Hell's Kitchen, and they reached out to my manager and invited me to come. And, once I did a little research to see what they were about, it was like, of course I'll come. I love it.
It's fantastic. Tell us, where did you grow up? Where are you from?
I am a New York City girl through and through, born in the Bronx. We moved to Queens when I was 7. Grew up there, went to high school and college in Manhattan. I've lived in Brooklyn, and I had a couple of boyfriends in Staten Island. So I have touched all the boroughs.
You and the boys, for some good reason, tend to make things happen.
Yeah, they do. They do. It's been a problem. Thank God I'm an adult now.
So I guess being out there and being in New York, being on Broadway, for you, this is kind of where it is and where it happens. Most of the acting and singing that you're doing now in New York, or are you moving around the country?
I move around. So Broadway, now I consider it a bit of a young person's game. It is more challenging than it's ever been. And now in my years, I am not interested in running up and down stairs to a dressing room to change and running on stage and running off stage. And I'm about done with that. So not completely. I think I got one more big musical left in me. But I love television. I've done a lot of television. And I'm actually going to Toronto next week to shoot an episode of Brilliant Minds on NBC.
Oh, wow.
So I would say television is my favorite medium to work in. But because Broadway was my beginning, and I also get to sing and express myself in that way, it'll always have my heart. But my body is going, girl, sit down. Enough of that.
No, I got a feeling, Kecia. I'm looking at you. I saw you, and now you're not even close to being done yet. So you'll continue to do these things. Let me ask you, though, before we run out of time, for young people who are listening to this, who want to get into the arts, who are interested in doing what you've done, what advice would you give to them?
The advice that I give young people is to study the craft. We are in a season in our culture where I believe kind of I won't say the downfall, but definitely a downturn in our industry, in my own opinion, was the advent of reality TV. And there is a mindset, unfortunately, a pervasive one, that people feel because they are nice looking and they have an interesting story or they're dramatic, that they actually are actors and they can do what we do. And I think that it's done a disservice in our culture when people believe that. So I tell young people, go train. It is a craft. It is acting, dancing, singing, all of it, visual art, all of it is a craft. Learn everything you can about it. Learn everything you can about the industry, because there's so many pockets of the industry that people can contribute to. So learn about it as opposed to looking for a break and trying to jump in with no training.
Kecia Lewis, thank you so much. It'll be Kecia Lewis and Friends. I just changed the name of it. Kecia Lewis and Friends, A Night of Broadway. It's happening this Saturday at 7:30 at the Hotel Arista out in the western suburbs, benefiting the Illinois Conservatory for the Arts, a nonprofit arts education institution out in those suburbs. Kecia, been wonderful talking to you. I look forward to seeing you and grabbing a picture on Saturday evening. Thank
You as
so
well.
much.
Thank you.
All
Thank you. Really wonderful.
Indeed.
I'll see you soon.
All right. Break a leg.
Thank
you. All right. We're going to leave it right there for today, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate certainly the tributes that continue and will continue to the Reverend Jackson. We miss him already so much. Candace, thank you so much as always for giving us all the information that gets us through the day. Titus, appreciate you, man, for keeping all these things together because things move and somehow you keep making the sausage. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll ask you, as I always do, as you go through the course of the day, you will come across people who are dealing with things that you know absolutely nothing about. So please be kind, always. And with that, Candace, tell us what's in the headlines, and T-Dub, take us home.
I'm Candace McCollum, and here are your news headlines. Reverend Jesse Jackson's children speak on his death and his legacy. Governor Pritzker unveils fiscal year 2027 budget. And the FDA to review Moderna flu vaccine. We will have details on these stories and much more headed your way. National news from the Black Information Network is up next on Chicago's only urban talk radio station, WVON, 1690 AM, Berwyn, Chicago.
Colorado bill would fully decriminalize prostitution between consenting adults. Supporters say it would help police focus on trafficking, but District Attorney George Brawler warns Governor Police would be doing the state a disservice by signing it.
It is difficult to imagine a more unneeded, untimely, and reckless